Hello everyone, welcome back to part 2 of this video presentation. So if you haven't watched part 1, you're definitely going to want to go back and watch part 1 before you watch part 2. Anyway, let's continue with this loan table. So now we need to calculate the interest payment that accrues every month on the $35,000. So our monthly interest rate is right up here at the top. It's 0.33%. So what we need to do is we need to take the $35,000, which is what we initially owe on the loan. We need to multiply by the 0.33%, and that should give us how much interest or how much money we need to pay back to the bank each month, or at least this month. So let me click here, and I'm going to do it the wrong way first, and then we'll do it the right way. So I'm going to hit the equals button. I'll go up to the $35,000. I'll select the $35,000 from here, not up here. I'll put the asterisk in to multiply, and then I'm going to click on the 0.333%. And I'm going to strike the enter button. All right. So if you take a look at this amount is correct, but we're going to run into a problem when we start copying this cell because we did not hold this 0.33% absolute. So we want to make sure that we do this because when we copy it from row 23 to row 24 and so on and so forth, it's going to want to copy from this cell to this one, and we're not going to get the desired results. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to edit this. And to make it absolute, right, which cell do I want to make absolute? I want to make C14 absolute, so I can click on it. I can go back up here to the top. And if you remember from the previous presentation, what key did I strike? That's right, the F4 key. So I'll hit the F4 key, I'll hit the enter button, and now I've made that an absolute cell, so it'll never change from the 0.33%. Let's move on to the amount paid on principal. So every month we pay $354.36. Out of that $354.36, $116.67 is paid in interest, and the remaining portion of that is paid on principal. So I need a formula that basically takes the payment and it subtracts the interest and gives me the other amount. So I'll click my mouse here. If you haven't done so, do so. And my formula is going to begin with an equal sign, so I'll hit the equal button. I'm going to click on the 354.36, and then I'm going to subtract the 116.67, and I'll strike the enter button. And so this month we were going to pay $237.69. That's going to be removed from the principal. Okay, now I've made the same mistake again. Hopefully some of you caught it. This payment is never going to change. If I take this cell and I copy it down, see how I get a 0? Well, the same thing happened again. What I need to do is I need to hold this payment constant. Your payment's never going to change. So cell C18 needs to be held constant. The interest will change every month, so I do want this one to increment as we move down. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to change this cell value to an absolute cell value. So I clicked here, and once again I'm going to tap the F4 key. So I'll tap the F4 key and hit the enter button. And so this formula is now corrected. So I'll delete this cell beneath here. And now I need to come up with a new balance. So I paid $116.67. This is the charge that the bank charges you every month. It does not reduce your principal amount, but this amount does reduce the principal. So now I need to construct a formula that basically takes the $35,000, subtracts the $237.69, and that'll be our new balance at the end of the month. So I'll click my mouse here. The formula always starts off with an equal sign, so I'll tap the equals button. I'm going to click on the principal before payment, which is $35,000. I'm going to put a minus in to subtract, and I'm going to subtract the amount paid on principal, and I'll hit the enter button. Okay, so our balance after making the payment, we paid $116.67 in interest, we paid $237.09 in principal. We took the $35,000, we subtracted the principal amount that we paid, and our new balance is $34,762.31. Now that's going to be our new balance for the next month. So what we need to do is we need to take this value and we need to transfer it to the beginning here. So I'm simply going to click my mouse here. I'll hit the equals button, and then I'm going to transfer the balance here to the new balance at the beginning of the second month. So I'll click here, I'll hit the enter button. Here's my new balance. Now the nice thing about Excel is if we have our formulas set up correctly, which we do, we can take these cells and we can copy them. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all three. So I've got a big open white cross. I'll hold my mouse button down, and I'll select those three. And then I'll move my mouse to the fill handle here, and I'm going to copy down to row 24. So there we go. So now I've got everything correct. This is a formula, this is a formula, this is a formula, and this is a formula, and all the formulas are correct. Now I can copy all the formulas down to the bottom of the spreadsheet. So I'm going to highlight all four of them. I'm going to move my mouse to the fill handle, and I'll hold my mouse button down, and I'm going to drag all the way down to the bottom of this to payment 120. Right to there. If you did it correct, you're going to see the interest go down every month. See, this is our interest dropping. And this is our balance. So you can see that every month we pay a little bit more on principal. These numbers should be increasing. These numbers should be decreasing. This is interest. This is the amount of money that you pay on principal every month. If you pay less interest, you pay more principal. And this is our new balance. And if you did everything correct, you should see a 0 here. Okay, the next part is summing up how much interest we paid. And I'm going to sum this column only, but you're also going to see a number automatically pop up here, and we'll talk about that in just a second. So what's the command to sum? Well, I'm on the Review tab. I want to go back to the Home tab, and then I want to look for the Sum button. So here's the Sum button. So if I select Auto Sum, it's drawing a box around what it thinks I want to add up. I'm going to scroll up to the top and make sure it's starting in the right place. And it is. So it's going to sum everything from cell C23 all the way down to the bottom of the list here to cell C142. And here's the formula, equals sum C23 colon C142. To enter that value, I just strike the enter button. And then I have this one that popped up automatically. And you notice that it's in parentheses and it's red. This should be a positive number, right? This is the total amount of principal that we paid on the loan. So every month we paid a little bit of the principal back. So this column right here should be equal to the amount of the loan that we took out. So it should not be $7,168.60. This column should total $35,000. And if I click here, you can see that it automatically puts some function in there for me that I don't want. Occasionally this happens in Excel, so you have to be careful. This cell right here has the correct formula. It's summing from the top to the bottom. I want a similar formula that sums from the top to the bottom. I could actually just take this formula and copy it over, and it would work. Let me show you. And there I've got $35,000, or if you so desire, you could sum it, and we could go up to the Auto Sum button, and we could click the green check mark. That's the same thing as hitting the entering button. It just doesn't move you out of the current cell that you're in. But nevertheless, you want to see an interest number here, and you want to see $35,000 here. And let's scroll on up and let's take a look at our ticker for points. And it says that we currently have 50 out of 60 points. Got a couple of other things to do here, and I may have a mistake in here. I'm not quite sure, but we'll find out here shortly. And I click my mouse right here, and it says total interest paid. And look, there's a comment statement. It says only link this cell to the cell at the bottom of the table. So we did sum the interest down here, and we want to bring that sum up so we don't have to look at the bottom of the spreadsheet. So we want to bring this value forward to the top. So in order to do that, I'll go up here to the top. I'll click on total interest paid. I'll hit the equals button. I'll scroll on down to the bottom of the spreadsheet. And I'll click on how much interest I paid. I'll hit the enter button. And I should be able to move to the top if I did everything correctly, which I didn't. Let me try it one more time. Let me get rid of this. I'll click equals. I'll scroll on down to the bottom. I'll click on the cell. I'll hit the enter button. And there, it transferred that value correctly. Part B of this, it says the total paid on the loan. Well, we have the interest, right? And then we have this original $35,000 that we paid. And there's also a comment statement in here. It says use the cell where the data is first identified. So what it wants you to do is it wants you to add the interest to the original loan amount. So I'm going to create a formula that does so. So I'll click here. Formula begins with an equal sign, so I'll hit the equals. I'll click on the $35,000. I'll put a plus sign in, and I'll click on the interest paid, and I'll strike the enter button. And it currently says I have 58 out of 60 points, so I have made an error here that I need to find. Okay, let's take a look up here at the top. So it says I have 58 points out of 60. And I've been looking at my spreadsheet, and I'm pretty sure my spreadsheet is correct. If I scroll down to the bottom, we know that our interest calculation was correct, and the amount that we paid on principal is correct. It's equal to $35,000, and we did zero our loan out. So we probably have an error up here at the top where I entered the data initially. So here's the $35,000. I could get rid of this and I could see what the ticker says, but I'm just going to take a look at the formulas. So this one didn't actually have a formula. This one did have just a percent. This one right here, oh, look what I did. I took the contents of C13 and I divided by 12. What if I changed the number of periods? Then it wouldn't have updated automatically. So what this formula should actually read is C13 divided by C16. So let me go up here. We'll get the same answer, but it automatically updates for me. So let me put a C16 and see if we get all our points. And there we go. We got all our points now. Now the beauty of this is, if I make a change up here, this table automatically updates for me, as does the interest and the total paid on loan. So let's change this to $40,000. And you're going to see the table update automatically. The interest changed and the total amount that we paid on the loan changed. If we change the term of the note to 11, I think it'll work as well. Right? Of course, I can undo it. I'm clicking the undo button. I'm putting it back. But anyway, the way you want to produce your table is you want to put all your values up in here, and you want to use formulas and not numbers. And formulas down here instead of numbers. That way, if we update something here, let's change this back to $40,000. Then you can see that the top number changed to 40, and then all the subsequent values also changed. So anyway, this concludes part 2 of this video demonstration. I hope this helped. Anyway, if you have questions, of course, you can always contact your instructor. Thanks for listening.